Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. We'll try it again. We'll give you another chance. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. If you do not know me, my name is Jonathan. I am here this morning. Chris is out. He's not feeling well, so I'm filling in for him. I'm excited to be here. Are you excited to be in God's house today?
Yay!
Thank you. All right. Quick announcement, Journey Kids, anyone interested in working with Journey Kids, they are having a meeting next Sunday morning after service. So anyone just work with Journey Kids, and if you're interested, if you're not sure, you want more information, or kids, or pretty much anything, because they need help with Journey Kids. So if you've ever heard of children, come to the meeting and get information about Journey Kids. Does that work? Cool? All right, so I'll see you all there next week. It's an exciting day today. We've got some exciting things happening over here. I looked, there aren't any fish in that, but early apparently. Okay, we're just going to move on, and I'm going to pray, and we'll let Brian come out, and maybe his jokes are better. That's great. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity just to be here in your house today with your people. And we just ask as we're here, as we listen to your word, we listen to the message that Pastor has prepared for us. Lord, as we sing your praises, and Lord, we invite your spirit just to be here. Even though you're here with us already, Lord, we want you to know that we want you to be here. And we just ask that you fill this place, that every breath we take is filled with you. So prepare our hearts now, and open our hearts and our ears to what you have for us today. I ask you all these things in your son's name. Amen.
Good morning.
Morning.
And yes, my voice is messed up, so I don't know how long it's going to last, but we'll see. Good to see everyone this morning. We've got a lot of visitors with us this morning. It's so great to have you here. Some of you have been out of town. We've got our World Travelers back with us this morning. I call her Where's Waldo? And it's good to have Haley back this morning. If you're a visitor, I want you to know we are so glad that you've joined with us here today, and I hope you had a good time. And as Jonathan said, we've got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a busy day, so probably a good thing I don't preach very long, so we have time to get it all in this morning. So we're back on doorposts, or still on doorposts, not back on, still on doorposts. And for those of you who haven't been here and don't know what in the world we're talking about, we're talking about these visual reminders that God gives us, or that we give ourselves sometimes even, to just remind us, and it's not just remind either, but to also inspire us to move on, to move forward. This whole series is about spiritual growth, growing spiritually, growing in faith and in knowledge and wisdom, and growing in our relationship with God. It's most important thing. We started off talking about when we're saved, and we had the trophy here, and that's how we cling on to our salvation, and we got it, and we sat here right where we began. I'm saved, I'm good to go, and we don't bother growing from there. And we take this thing to church with us, and then we go back home and we set it on the shelf, kind of like we do God sometimes, and we never advance in our relationship or our spiritual side of ourselves, and that's not good. We want to grow. We want to go to the other side here. So Deuteronomy chapter 6, where we get the word doorpost from. And, God said, I want you to bind my commandments, my word on your wrist and on your forehead, and right on your hand, or right on your doorpost. That way it's a constant reminder of who I am, of what I've done, and what I want you to be, and what I'm going to do for you, and all my promises. And this was meant to inspire them, not just remind them, but also to inspire them, which is what we've got going on over here. And if you don't know, this board with all the little things on it, one of them's a little sand hourglass timer. And that's to remind us and inspire us to spend time with God, right? And we've been doing that. I know you have, every day, right? You've been spending time in prayer. You haven't missed a day yet. And praying and reading Scripture, right? And that's when we see that, is to remind us of that. And the little bottle that has the mustard seed in it is to remind us and inspire us about our faith. That it's not the size of our faith that's the big deal. It's the object of our faith that matters the most, right? And also talking about faith, that if we want to grow in our faith, we've got to grow in obedience. So if you want to grow in obedience, you got to grow in faith. And it's kind of a circular thing. And that's what the mustard seed reminds us of there. It inspires us to have faith and to put our trust in God's character, right? And to obey God's commands. And then give you a little cross week before last to remind us about the label that God has labeled us with. The world has labeled us with a lot of things, but God has labeled you righteous. If you're a child of God, if you've been saved, and the world may put all kinds of labels on you, and it's best that you don't live up to those most of the time, right? But God has labeled you right in blood, right, in His body, His death, burial, and resurrection, and by that you were labeled righteous. So every time we see that little cross, it's to remind us and inspire us to obey God's commands and to live righteously and to grow and to be the child of God that God has in store for you, that He wants for you. And then last week we started this on the Lord's Supper, which I think is probably the doorpost of all doorposts, to remind you and to inspire you to grow, right? And it's something that He says, as often as you do it, do this in what? Remembrance of me. And that's what the Lord's Supper is about. The Lord's Supper is the time to remember, right? We talked about remember His sacrifice, remember your separation, remember your sin, remember His suffering, all that took place. And that's what the Lord's Supper reminds us about when we eat that bread. His body is broken and crushed for us, and when we drink the cup, and it reminds us of His blood that was poured out for us. So that's what the Lord's Supper is all about there. But it's a time to remember, but it's also, well, let me get to that in just a second. You may be wondering, so what's the mirror got to do with the Lord's Supper? We're supposed to see that. I don't see that in the famous painting of the Lord's Supper, right? I don't see any mirrors in there. They're all sitting on one side of the table. I don't know why they're all on one side of the table either. That doesn't make any sense. Got a whole other side. They're all crammed on that one. But a mirror. What do we do with a mirror? I know what a lot of y'all did it. Probably me this morning. You get up and you fix your hair, right? I did that. It didn't take me long. Mine's perfect every day. I never have a bad hair day. So maybe you did. Or we get dressed and we get it and we look in and we make sure we got our shirt buttoned straight or our dress on right. We don't have whatever going on with our clothes, and we look at them, our face isn't smudged. We don't have lipstick going up somewhere it doesn't belong, and we look in the mirror and what do we see? See our reflection, right? We see our reflection, and if we're wise, we'll stop and look at it a little while before we venture out into public, right? And fix anything that needs to be fixed, anything that's going on. And now you may be thinking about a sermon from James chapter 1, right? And I know that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, but we're not really. In James chapter 1, he says, don't be hearers of the word only, right? Be doers. You want to be a doer of the word, not a hearer only. And if you're a hearer only, you're like a man that looks in front of the mirror and says, "Yeah, that's good," even though he's all messed up, and he walks away and he forgets what he looks like, So don't be a hearer only, be a doer of the word. So the point is to look at the word and think about, hey, what changes do I need to make in my life, right? And not just what changes do I make in my hair or my clothes, but what changes do I need to make in my life? And that's called reflecting. And maybe we don't sit in front of a mirror to do reflecting, but when we take the Lord's Supper, it's a good thing to do. The Lord's Supper is a time to remember, but it's also a time to reflect. Okay, and that's what the Lord's Supper is a time for you to reflect on a couple of things, maybe more, but we're just going to talk about two today. Number one is it's a time for you to reflect on your relationship with God, right? on how things are going there, and it's a time for you to reflect on your relationship with the church, right? Okay, this is what we need to do when we come to the table, when we come to the Lord's Supper, and we need to not only remember, but we need to reflect on our life and on our relationship with God and our relationship with the church. So here's what you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 11, 20. This is kind of our main verse, and we'll get to it again later. It says, "But a man must examine himself, and in so doing, he is to eat of the bread and drink of the cup." But first, you've got to do what? Examine yourself. Notice it says you need to examine yourself, not the person sitting next to you, right? Okay, that's not what we come here to do. We don't come to the table and we look around and say, "Oh, I don't know, what does he think he's doing taking the Lord's Supper? I know it." Or why is she here? We don't do that. We're not here to examine why someone else, or if someone else should be taking the Lord's Supper, or who they think they are. We're not here to judge other, examine other lives. We're here to examine. When we come to this table, we're here to examine our lives, not the people around us. Okay, and later when it talks about taking of this Lord's Supper in a worthy manner, we get that all mixed up sometimes about what that really means. But examine ourselves. So the Lord's Supper is a time to reflect on your relationship with God. And I'm going to show you this in 1 Corinthians 11:17. Back up here. Paul says, but in giving this instruction, he's talking to the church here at Corinth, and they've been taking the Lord's Supper. All right, and he's been hearing some bad things. Things not quite right. He says, but in giving this instruction, I do not praise you because you come together not for the better, but for the worse. Things are not going well. Something bad is going wrong. He's been hearing things, and whatever it is just doesn't seem quite right. And what you're doing isn't helping you any. Matter of fact, you're making things worse when you're coming together. You got problems, right? If you're coming to church or coming to the Lord's Supper and you're actually thinking making things worse, there's a problem, and something needs to be fixed. And first, in the first place, when you come together as a church, I hear that divisions exist among you. Now, we know that doesn't happen in churches today, though, right? Right? No, never. We don't have divisions exist among you. He said, and in part, I believe it. Excuse me, my voice just cracked. I try not to do that too much today. But in part, I believe it. I've been hearing rumors. I've been hearing nasty stories. And it may not all be true, but I'm pretty sure some of it's true. What I've been hearing. Why? See, for there must also be factions. Another word for divisions among you, so that those who are approved may become evident among you. There must be factions. We're not just talking about cliques. Cliques are bad. I hate cliques. I hate cliques in church. But you see them everywhere you go. It's part of human nature, which is why he says there must be factions among you. But you see your people are interested in sports, and they're hanging out together. They're talking about the game, whatever. And you have maybe other people up here talking about babies or whatever they like to talk about, and somebody in the back, and they're talking about I don't know, Pinterest or something like that. Something, the latest thing they saw on Pinterest, and somebody over here talking about whatever. The preacher. What was he thinking today? And we're going to talk about him for a little while. But we got all these divisions and cliques going around, and cliques are going to happen. I know they're going to happen in church because we're people. But the bad thing about cliques is we don't let anybody else in our clique. It's like, oh no, this is our group. we don't want anybody else to come in. And that is a hard thing to resist, and it's easy to fall into. No, this is our group of people. This is what we do. You go do something else, right? You find your own group of people and hang out, and you start something else. But a faction is something even worse. A faction is when you have these groups of people over here, and some over there, some down the hall, some over this corner, and they're talking bad about each other. They're running each other down, and they're saying, well, that group over there, you know what he does, or what she does, and I know where they went last week, and we're giving each other a hard time, and we've got these divisions and factions in the church, and it's more than just a clique. It's sides that are just kind of opposed to each other. And that's what was going on in the church here. And he says, I know it must be true because, well, you know that's human nature. It is. It is our human nature. We are naturally inclined to do that sort of thing. And the problem is, that's our old nature, right? And it's our old nature. Not who we are now. It's not who we're supposed to be now, right? It's not who we're supposed to be now. We're supposed to be a new creation after we've been saved. And we're not supposed to be having this animosity toward one group, or we're not supposed to have this one group or the other group. We're one body, right? We talked about that a while back. We're one body, and that shouldn't be. But here's the main word I want you to see in this verse. So that those who are yourself, you need to see, what on earth are you doing? I mean, are you even saved? You need to check on that. So, are you right with God? When we come to the table in just a little bit, you need to be examining yourself. Are you right with God? And this causing divisions and factions is just one way that not being right with God kind of manifests itself in our life. And there's multiple ways, all kinds of ways that not being right with God is going to show up in your life. But the one that this church was having trouble with was the divisions and factions and just this animosity toward each other and causing all sorts of problems. So, are you right with God? Before we come to this table, are you right with God? Number one, let's just go to the very beginning. Are you saved? In other words, because you know what I'm talking about, have you confessed your belief in your faith and trust in Jesus Christ as your Savior? Right? Acknowledging that you're sin and you're separated from God, and as the Bible says, you believe or you trust that Jesus is who he said he is, that he is the Son of God, and that he paid for your salvation, and he has accepted that gift. Have you done that? So number two, have you been baptized, or are you in the process of being baptized? Right? You see what's waiting for you. Yeah, don't look around. I don't know how warm the water is this morning. At least I'm not having to get in it today, so I don't care. It's okay to warm, but it's not hot. I'll tell you that much. But have you been baptized? You know, that's an obedience. If you're going to come to the table, you need to be saved because it's a picture, it's a symbol of what Jesus has done for you. And if you haven't been saved, that doesn't apply to you, right? It doesn't apply to you. Baptism, I don't believe you have to be baptized to partake in the Lord's Supper. However, because it's for the church and those who are saved, but if you haven't been baptized, you're not being obedient. All right? You're not being obedient. So why do you want to follow? Why do you want to follow in this if you're not living an obedient life? So maybe that's not for you. So if you're here today and you've been saved, but you haven't been baptized, I want you to at least start that process. And you come and talk to me during our invitation time and our response time, okay? And let's get that started. Because it's something that you need to do, and you need to do it as soon as possible. All right? So, have you been saved? Have you been baptized? Are you being obedient? All right, in your life, is your life becoming more and more like Christ? Is there sin in your life that you need to get rid of? Is there known sin that you need to confess? Are you right with God? Let's reflect on that today. What's going on in my life that doesn't need to be there? That doesn't look like Jesus? Before I go and I partake of his body and his blood. And I ridicule him, basically, when I have known sin in my life that I'm not willing to give up. But yet I'm going to go and I'm going to partake of the bread, which is his body, and the cup, which is his blood, which paid for those sins that I'm not willing to give up. How hypocritical is it to go and partake of something like that when you've got something going on in your life you're not willing to get rid of, that you're hanging on to. So the Lord's Supper is the time to reflect on your relationship with God. But it's also a time to reflect on your relationship with the church. And this, I think, is a bigger point that Paul's trying to make. And I know your relationship with God is of huge importance, but this is the bigger point that he was trying to make here. And I'll tell you why a little bit later. The Lord's Supper is a time to reflect on your relationship with the church. It says, therefore, when you meet together, it is not to eat the Lord's Supper. There's the bread there, the wine's there, and you're all gathered together, and it looks like the Lord's Supper, but it ain't the Lord's Supper. I don't know what you're doing, but it ain't that. You're just eating, right? For in your eating, each one takes his own supper first. They're not worried about anybody else. You just grab them in there and grabbing your own stuff and forgetting about everybody else. Don't worry about them. And one is hungry, and the other is drunk. Not much chance of that happening today. Okay? No alcohol in that. And you're probably going to go away still hungry because it's a little piece of bread. We're not having a huge meal here, right? But what he's saying is some people were coming there and they're starving to get. They have nothing, and others are coming and they're in excess. And that's part of the division and part of the factions that they were having. You see those who have and those who don't have. And those who had were looking down on those who don't. And they were judging them because they weren't blessed by God. And there must be sin in their life or acting a lot like the Pharisees that we talk so bad about. Said what? Do you not have a house in which to eat and drink? Or do you despise the church of God? Wow. Now that's a sucker punch there. If you're involved in this and you're doing this and you're judging those around you inside the church, you know what you're doing? You're creating divisions, you're creating factions. You're actually despising the church of God, and you shame those who have nothing. What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you? In this, I will not praise you. If you are a divider in the church, let me tell you something. You are a despiser of the church. No way around it, okay? If you're causing division in the church, if you're causing factions, if you're taking part in those divisions, in those factions. Matter of fact, I'm going to go so far, if you're not calling people out on it and saying, no, that's not right, you're despising the church. You wouldn't allow someone to trash talk your mom, would you? Maybe your best friend. What about your spouse? Hopefully you don't get involved in that yourself, but I know that. But it happens really bad in the fire departments. I'm just going to tell you, I told Cody that before they got married. You better be careful, buddy. I've been on the fire department before. You want to talk about some men that will dog their wives. Man, it's ugly. But just be careful. All right, I'll quit preaching it, Cody. All right? It happens. But you are a despiser of the church. If you're allowing that to go on, you don't want someone trash talking your family. Guess what? Look around you. Literally, look around you right now. I'm not kidding. Look around. Guess what? This is your family. This is your spiritual family. And you don't need someone talking bad about your brother or your sister in Christ. Causing division, causing problems, causing doubt even. Yeah, we're good at that. We won't come right out and say something negative or bad about somebody, but we'll sure cast doubt on them, right? Yeah, okay, I'm not going to say that they're whatever, but, they're really close. Anyway, we don't need that going on in the church. How does the divisions and factions look like today? What do they look like in our church, in our life? Well, they show up as pride, right? And that you could probably take the other three off because pride is really the beginning point for all the others. Pride. How does pride show up? Well, when I don't get the recognition that I think I deserve, when I don't get the acknowledgement that I think I deserve, when I don't get the center of attention that I think I deserve, or when I don't get my way, well, I think we ought to do it this way, but he thinks we ought to do it that way, so I'm gonna cause a problem. I'm gonna gripe and I'm gonna complain, I'm gonna whine about it. Or Carrie, you know how she is, right? So you just, we start at pride. Pride shows up in so many ways in our lives and in the church, and the next thing you know, it's causing division because, number one, we're not getting our way about something. That's usually what it comes down to, control or problems. Self-righteousness. Yeah, there's another one. There's a way that we see divisions and factions in the church. And when we look around, like you did just a while ago, and you think, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I know what they did last night, and I heard what they did, and what they said. I saw that Facebook post. Yeah, I'm a better Christian than you are. And they are. I'm pretty at the top, pretty much at the top of the list here, right? Self-righteousness. When we look down on those around us and we think, well, according to these losers, I'm doing pretty good, right? that's the attitude that we have about it. Well, we wouldn't say that out loud, but But that's kind of the attitude we get sometimes, right? We look around and we think, yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. I'm a good Christian. I'm better than her. So better than him. Look at Jared back there. I mean, goodness, what's he doing? Self-righteousness, status, financial status. We look around and think, that poor sucker, look what he's wearing. He must not have a dime to his name. Poor, misusing their money, probably spend it all on beer and cigarettes, right? That's why are you laughing, Brian? Status, financial status. When we think that we're better than others because we have more, we have better stuff, and we look around and we look down our noses at those around us, right? Human nature, social status. Yeah, they're not really the type that we want in this church because they're kind of, they're not very popular and they don't live in a nice neighborhood. And I see what they drive and they're not really up to our level. We don't, literally, you're not going to believe this. Oh, yeah, you will. I actually had somebody in church tell me one time, why do we keep going talking to that neighborhood? We don't really want those people here, but right? They actually told me that, and I'm thinking, what on earth are you talking about, Lord? How can you sit here and say that we don't want those people here because they're not going to add much to our church? It floored me, but we can do that. That person is not in this church, okay? So when we're looking around, judging others, get off the self-righteousness thing, all right? But we don't want to do that. That's how it shows up. Unforgiveness, man. If there's a way that pride or division and factions will show up in this church or any church, it's unforgiveness in your heart, right? Someone did you wrong, somebody said something, you don't like whatever they did, what they said, and man, you ain't going to let it go. That person is dirt, they're dead to you, or whatever it is, and unforgiveness in your heart. And you think you're hurting them by not forgiving them, but you know what they say, you're really only heaping coals on yourself, right? By holding this grudge against them. You know, look, if somebody's done something to you, somebody's hurt you, somebody said something about you, don't make me break into my favorite song here, right? But let it go, right? I'm not going to do it. My voice just getting hold out. Let it go. Can't do it. Somebody is welcome to do that for me. But, my Queen Elsa theme. Let it go. But forgive. You know, that's right. That's how you let it go. All right? You got to forgive. You got to be willing to forgive. You got to ask for forgiveness if you've done something, right? Maybe somebody's holding something against you because you haven't apologized. You haven't said you're sorry. So, the Lord's Supper, before we go over to this table, if you've got somebody here in this family that you haven't forgiven for something, and you need to do it, you need to make it right. This is the time to reflect on your relationship with the church. Do I have something against someone, a fellow brother or sister in Christ, that I need to forgive them for? Or maybe you've done something to somebody in this body, brother or sister in Christ, that you need to ask forgiveness for. Don't go to this table until you've done that, okay? Seek forgiveness. That's what we're doing. When we do this, when we reflect on our relationship with God, when we reflect on our relationship with those around us, you know, it helps renew. It renews our relationship with God. It renews our relationship with those people. And that's what we've got to be striving toward, right? That's what we need to be doing. Renews our relationship with God, renews our relationship with the church. And we get to verse 27. Therefore, whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner, by unworthy manner, that means looking around, judging those around you, having divisions, having factions, okay? It's not talking about who has the right to take the Lord's Supper, okay? Well, you're not this or that or whatever, okay? Unworthy manner is when you're looking around and you're judging the others, wondering why they're taking the Lord's Supper, okay? That's what an unworthy manner is. Or when you have divisions, you're involved in divisions, you're involved in factions, when your heart's not right with God, that's the unworthy manner. All right? You've got unconfessed sin in your life. You have unforgiveness in your life. And you don't have forgiveness from God because you haven't confessed your sin. You shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. Now that's a serious thing there. Think about it. If you do this in an unworthy manner, you are guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. That's something to say, whoa, hold on a second, maybe I need to take this a little more serious, right? See, but a man must, here's our verse again, examine himself, and in so doing he is to eat of the bread and drink of the cup. We do this. We confess our sin, right? We confess, we ask for forgiveness from God. We ask for forgiveness from those that we have hurt, those that we have wronged. We get our relationships right here inside the church, inside the body. For he who eats and drinks judgment to himself if he does not judge the body rightly. Wow. Okay. I never really thought about it this much before. I've usually gone and I've just taken the bread and drank the cup and went out the door, sung my sad, sad song, and shuffled my way out the door, Lord's Supper, until the next time we do it. Never really thought about it. There's a lot more to it than that I need to be getting right in my life. So for this reason, many of you are weak and sick. Sorry, maybe it's my problem today. Maybe I need to get it right, but surely he doesn't mean that, right? That's not what he's talking about. And a number sleep. And I don't mean taking a nap. And that's not what he's talking about. When he says many of you are sleeping, this is why. When he says you're sleeping, he means many of you have died, physically died, because you've had this problem in your life. And you've taken the Lord's Supper wrongly, unworthily. And it's caused problems in your life. Do you think God takes the Lord's Supper a little more serious than we do? I think he does. I think he does. Right? It's a serious matter. The Lord's Supper is a time to reflect. So here's what I want you to do today. I want you to seek forgiveness from God. You have unconfessed sin in your life? If you do, you've got a problem. You've got a strained relationship with God. A couple weeks ago, we were at a winter retreat with the youth, with the teens, and Jonathan spoke about this relationship problem. He talked about his kids. His kids denied it, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Jonathan's story. That he told his kid to clean the room. Go clean the room. She went and cleaned the room. Goes back. Yeah, she got the big stuff in the middle, right? Now my kids would not do that because my kids wouldn't clean it at all. But anyway, let's have a look. Logan's pretty neat. Dylan, I'm scared to go in there. Lydia's looked like a stuffed toy factory threw up in her room. Literally, it's bad. And Dylan is just scary. He's just scary. You don't know what you're going to find. But Logan's room's pretty neat. But I'm telling them to go clean the room. I'm not sure they did or not because he's just so bad. But so they would go and clean the room, clean out the big stuff in the middle, shove stuff in the closet. And I don't dare open the closet, especially in Dylan's room, because you're going to get hurt. And shove stuff in the corner, shove stuff under the bed, and we have stuff going everywhere. But we clean out the middle, and it looks good, right? But what about that sin? And we do that in our lives, right? Confess our sin. We take care of the big stuff that the world might see, that they might know about, or we take it where it's kind of visible, and we go shove it somewhere else out of life, where people can't see it, they don't know about it. We stick it off in a corner somewhere, stick it under a bed, stick it in the closet, and close the door where no one can see it. Yeah, sin's still there. The problem's still there. And the biggest problem is you haven't obeyed yet. And that was Jonathan's point. You haven't obeyed. You're taking care of some big stuff. Or maybe even that big stuff you just shoved into the corners or put it out of sight. You haven't dealt with the problem yet. And it's the little things. It's the little things as well as the big things. We're the ones that decide what's big and what's little, right? God doesn't. It's sin is sin. And he wants you to deal with it. He wants you to deal with it today, right? Don't just clean up the obvious things. Look in every corner of your heart today. That's what it means to reflect. You stop and you look long and hard at yourself in your life and you think, oh, where do I have unconfessed sin in my life? What am I hanging on to? What am I shoving in a corner that I don't want nobody to see that I'm wanting to hang on to? I don't want to throw it away. I don't want anybody to see it either. What have you got going on in your life that needs to be cleaned up, needs to be cleaned out and thrown away? Okay? That's what it means to reflect on your life. What about seeking forgiveness from the church? Well, let me back up a second. Psalm 51:3. For I know my transgressions. This is what David said in Psalm. For I know my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Yeah, there's some sins that you know about. And it's in your face all the time, right? And you know you need to do something with it. You know you need to do something about it. But also, He said in 139, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts. God, sometimes we need help. We need God to point out sin in our life. And let me tell you, that's a risky little business when you go to God and say, God, show me my sin. Point out my sin that maybe I'm not aware of. Ooh, man. Sometimes he points out some things you're like, ow, really? Okay, yeah, I need to deal with that. Seek forgiveness from others. Therefore, if you are presenting your offering, this is how serious God takes it. Okay? This is why I said this is probably the bigger issue that Paul had with the church. More so than their relationship with God, with their relationship with each other. We go back to what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5. He said, therefore, if you are presenting your offering at the altar, you've come to worship. You've come to make a sacrifice to God. And there, remember that your brother has something against you. Leave your offering there before the altar and go. First, be reconciled to your brother, and then come and present your offering, right? Go take care of this relationship problem you have first, and then come worship. Then come sacrifice. This is how serious it is that he takes your relationship, our relationship with each other here in the church, right? So that's what I want us to do today. All right? Number one, if you've got unconfessed sin, we've got, as a matter of fact, I've got some of these verses right up here. These are what are called prayer stations, where we come and respond. I want you to read the verses, say a prayer about it, confess sin. Whatever it is that this leads you to do, this is kind of our altar over here. I know most times, well, you're welcome to come up here and do it as well. And I'll be available. Number one, if you haven't been saved, I want you to be saved. I want you to accept Jesus as your Savior today. Number two, if you haven't been baptized, I want you to come talk to me and say, I need to get baptized, and we'll get that started. If you have unconfessed sin, you should hit the altar, hit your knees, whatever you've got to do, and I want you to confess that. All right? Get that right. And then we're going to come to the table over here today. I'm going to welcome you all. If you're a child of God, I'm going to welcome you to come to our table today. If you haven't been baptized, I'm going to invite you to come and talk to me. Say, I need to get baptized so I can be in obedience. Okay? And come join in this remembrance and this reflection of the body and blood of Jesus this morning. Okay, if you would stand with me this morning, I'm going to have a prayer with you. And then, if you've got this unforgiveness towards somebody, or if you've wronged someone, I need you to go to that person and get it right. We don't want to let that sink in. Okay? We don't want it to take a hold in our life and cause division and cause factions in our church today. Okay, I'm going to have a prayer with you. We're going to have a video going. And if you want to, I'm going to invite you to come over here to our prayer stations. And let's get ourselves right with God. Let's get ourselves right with each other. God, thank you so much this day. Thank you for the blessings you've given us, God. And I thank you for your body. And I thank you for your blood, God. Thank you for your blood, Jesus, that you spilled and you poured out on our behalf. And I just pray for this church. Pray you help us continue to grow. Help us to remember your sacrifice. Help us to reflect on our relationship with you and our relationship with this church, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
We all start on the outside looking in. This is where grace begins. We were hungry, we were thirsty, with nothing left to give. Oh, the shape that we were in. And just when all hope seemed lost, love opened the door for us. He said, come to the table. Come join the sinners who have been redeemed. Take your place beside the Savior. Sit down and be set free. Come to the table. Come meet this my request. hero and the coward, to the prisoner and the soldier, to the young and to the older, all who hunger, all who thirst, all the last and all the first, all the paupers and the princes, all who failed and been forgiven, all who dream and all who suffer, all who loved and lost another, all the chained and all the free, all who follow, all who lead, anyone who's been let down, all the lost who have been found, all who've been labeled right or wrong, to everyone who hears this song. Come join the sinners, you have been redeemed. Take your place beside the Savior. Sit down and be set free. Oh, sit down and be set free. Come to the table. Come to the sit down and be set free. Come to the table. We all start on the outside looking in. This is where grace begins.
All right. I hope your hearts are prepared and ready as we come to the table over
We
here.
were hungry, we were
We're doing a little study on the Lord's Supper. We did it last week. We're doing it today. We do it one more time next week. All right. And we're going to be totally immersed in this Lord's Supper. We're going to know what it's about. All right. Bob, if you could take the end of the table in there to carry it with you, your family, you may like for the end. And I'll be at the other end down here.
He said, come.
If you would, if you're going to take the Lord's Supper this morning, I invite you to come on over, as the song says, come to the table.
Who have been redeemed, take your place beside the Savior. Sit down and be set free. Come to the table.
Stacy, I forgot about Scott and Sandra. Can you get them quickly? Or Justin to run?
His liars and his speed. There's no one unwelcome here.
While we're waiting for Scott and Sandra and for the kids to get down, I'm going to ask, thank you. We got tons of candles on. If I could get one person at each table, I'll take this one, Bob, you can take that in, and take the juice and pour it for everybody. Yeah, plenty of this. We're not saving the paper, so it's okay to spill it.
To the prisoner and the soldier, to the young and to the older, all who hunger, all who thirst, all the last and all the first, all the paupers and the princes, all who failed and been forgiven, all who dream and all who suffer, all who loved and lost another, all the chained and all the free, all who follow, all who lead, anyone who's been let down, all the lost who have been found, all who've been labeled.
We wanted Scott and Sandra to be able to participate in this with us. I just felt to remind them to come down this morning. We'll be here in just a moment. Are they coming?
Come to the table.
Just one second.
We all start on the outside looking in. This is where grace begins. We were hungry, we were thirsty, with nothing left to give. Oh, the shape.
I think they're going to catch up with us next week as we do the Lord's Supper.
And just when all
We read the Bible, especially in this passage we were just reading, and Paul's talking about it. It said Jesus took the bread and broke it and passed it around. And he would take the basket and pass it down.
come join the sinners who have been redeemed. Take your place beside the Savior. Sit down and be set free. Come to the table. Come meet this motley crew of misfits, these liars and these thieves.
And as we look at the bread, we remember Jesus' body that was crushed, that was broken and bruised for our sake, for our sin. Jesus said, take this bread and eat. This is my body. Do this in remembrance of me. Jesus, we thank you for this day. God, we thank you for your body that was broken for us. God, help us to remember as we take this supper, that your body, that was bruised, that was beaten, that was broken for our sins. In like manner, he says, he took the cup after they'd taken the bread and he passed it around. He said, this is the new covenant in my blood. So drink all of it and do it in remembrance of me. Jesus, we thank you for your blood. We thank you for the stripes that, and the piercings, the beatings, God, for our sake, because of our sins. God, we reflect on that. We remember that. We pray that you take our worship today. And that from our bottom of our hearts, we lift your name, we lift praise to you as we sing. In Jesus' name. Amen. So when they left there, they sang a hymn, but we're going to do more than that. If the band would come on up as we begin our worship time. And you may go back and be seated.
encouragement this morning, church. We bend our knees. Holy Spirit, come make us humble. We turn our eyes from evil things. Oh Lord, we cast down our idols. Clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Oh God, let us be a generation that seeks your face. Oh God of Jacob. Oh God, let us be a generation that seeks your face. Oh God of Jacob. We bend our knees. Oh Spirit, come make us humble. We turn our eyes from evil things. Oh Lord, we cast down our idols. Clean hands and give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands and give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Oh God, let us be a generation that who seeks your face. Oh God of Jacob. God, let us be a generation that who seeks your face. Oh God of Jacob. Hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Give us clean hands, give us pure hearts. Let us not lift our souls to another. Oh God, let us be a generation that who seeks your face. Oh God of Jacob. Oh God, let us be a generation that seeks your face. Oh God of Jacob. Church, as we move into this next song, take a minute to reflect. We just took the Lord's Supper, which is a very, very big deal, and it always resonated with me. Take a minute to reflect on everything as we move into this next song and just get closer with the Lord.
The stars in the night, I wonder. At the lightning in the sky, I shudder. Your glory is a blanket that covers down yourself and gave me life. In naked shame you hung and you were lifted high. Here I lay it all and wonder. I am afraid, for no one's ever sacrificed and loved me this way. So on my face I fall under your heavy grace. Here I lay it all and wonder. I'm in awe at the majesty of who you are. Your love is a seal burns inside my heart. All of the day I want to be where you are, Holy Father. And it feels like there's not enough grace inside of me. With all these words, all my heart can sing is holy. You are holy. Jesus Christ, you let your love lay down yourself and gave me life. In naked shame you hung and you were lifted high. Here I lay it all and wonder. I am afraid, for no one's ever sacrificed and loved me this way. So on my face I fall under your heavy grace. Here I lay it all and wonder. Jesus Christ, you let your love lay down yourself and gave me life. In naked shame you hung and you were lifted high. Here I lay it all and wonder. I am afraid, for no one's ever sacrificed and loved me this way. So on my face I fall under your heavy grace. Here I lay it all and wonder.
Here we go.
There's revival and it's spreading like a wildfire in my heart. Sunday morning, hallelujah, and it's lasting all week long. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? It's the rhythm of the gospel song. Oh, once you choose it, you can't lose it. Oh, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. I got an old church choir singing in my soul. I got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. I got a heart overflowing 'cause I've been restored. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. In the valley that I wander, turn to mountains that I can't climb. Oh, you are with me, never leave me. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. I got an old church choir singing in my soul. I got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. I got a heart overflowing 'cause I've been restored. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. Clap your hands and stomp your feet till you find that gospel beat, 'cause he's all you'll ever need, all you'll ever need. Clap your hands and stomp your feet till you find that gospel beat, 'cause he's all you'll ever need, all you'll ever need. I've got an old church choir singing in my soul. I've got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. I've got an old church choir singing in my soul. I've got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. I've got a heart overflowing 'cause I've been restored. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy.
All right. Thank you. That was awesome. I hope you had a great time here this morning. You had a great time of worship. Thank you, band. You did a great job. You okay there? He's good. All right. Hey, guess what? We're not done yet. Just a couple more minutes. We've got a baptism. If you would just have a seat. Let me see if they're ready, and we'll be ready to go. Listen, almost ready. I've been wanting to do a baptism in here for a long time, and so last night I decided we were just going to do it. Didn't work quite as easily as I had hoped. About 6-7 hours later, it was tough, and the water is slightly warm, so maybe it worked well. So it was a fun day last night. So and Stacy was, I made her up here. She was up here with me the whole time, trying to get it set up. But we didn't flood the place. Still have water in the building and all that, and no one died. So we're good. Let me check on Rudy and Tanya and see if they are ready. You ready? Come on. All right. Go ahead and clap. I'm going to take this off so it doesn't fall into the water with me, because I don't have enough voice to make it loud enough. All right. I hope you've met this couple and their family. They've got Rudy's parents here, right, with us this morning. And there was little Rudy sitting here in the front, and Sophia, they're two youngins. And so they get to experience this and watch this out here. All right. But this is Rudy and Tanya. And you have to help me pronounce the last name, because I'm not sure. I'm going to say Bazan, but... Oh, okay. Well, I've just been taking a stab at it. I didn't know if I was pronouncing it right or not. But Rudy and Tanya Bazan, and they've got Sophia is 4, and Rudy is just 4 months. All right. So, and they've been with us for a couple months now. at least just before Christmas, they started coming in. And Tanya realized she needed to be baptized. She'd been saved. I met with them in my office, and they both professed Jesus as their Savior, and they need to get baptized. So we talked about that for a while and what it meant, and they are ready to do it today. They wanted to make sure they had family here to witness it. So here we go. Who's going to be first? Tanya gets different. Ladies first, right? All right. There you go. What a gentleman. All right.
Tanya, have you professed Jesus Christ as your Savior? Yes. Do you commit to following His will and His plan for your life? Yes. Amen. All right. Based on your profession of faith and your willingness to follow God's plan for your life, I baptize you, my sister, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Purple shirt just for and it says washed and everything, but too late now. We're awkward when we take this off right here. We're not going to do that. All right, Rudy, come on in. She pulled it off. No offense, you're a little heavier than all right, this is Rudy. On, and he is, this man has impressed me a lot. He's really trying hard to be the spiritual leader in his family and be there for his wife and his kids and to raise them up right, raise them in church, and be a prayer for this couple, and be a prayer for Rudy as he tries to be all that God has him to be, the dad and the husband that God wants him to be. All right, Rudy, have you professed Jesus Christ as your Savior? Do you commit to following God's plan and God's will for your life, for the rest of your life? All right. All right. Rudy, based on your profession of faith, you commit to follow God's will. I baptize you, my brother, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All right. We'll let you go on back there and close and stick around for a little while and congratulate them, talk to them,
continue to be in prayer for them as they make this change, the transition, and all right, if you would stand with me this morning. Thank you for being here. It's been an exciting day. We got to worship. We got to take the Lord's Supper. We got to witness the baptism. It's been a good day, right? All right. If you would, bow your heads with me. Let's have a prayer. God, we thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. We thank you for all that we've experienced here today. And we thank you for the blessing of your Lord's Supper. And we thank you for Rudy and Tanya and their commitment to you in this baptism, God. We just ask you to forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all. We're going to have a great day. Don't forget, next Sunday after church, have a meeting if you're interested in working with the Journey Kids, all right? Or if you're already working with the Journey Kids, either one. We meet with you back there next Sunday after church.